Hey everyone, this is Gleb Bakhmutov, and I'm looking at this Egghead TanStack router course. And there is this example where there is a home page, about page, and employees page. And it's controlled by the TanStack router. If we look at the source code, it uses file routing, and the employees component has already an async loader defined. This is a TanStack router thing where you can say, okay, here's where the data is coming. It's asynchronous, returns a hard-coded array of employees, and once the data is loaded, it renders a list of employees. And I'm confirming that the list is there, and there are 11 items by using a Cypress end-to-end test. Everything is running already. You can see the test passing. I'm going straight to the employees page. I'm checking that the employees tab is active, and then that there are 11 items. And right now I want to move away from hard-coded employees and fetch the data from my API. And we can do a couple of things if we really want to transform. Already pre-written this fetch API, so we have employees API object. It has a get method, and it makes a fetch call, gets the JSON, and it's just an array of employee structures with ID, first name, and last name. And this mimics what we have hard-coded. So when you start a project, you can use hard-coded data. Once you're happy with your component, you need actual API. And at this point, you can create a dummy web server, maybe a JSON server would work for you, or maybe you write a custom one. And I'm saying if you're already using end-to-end testing, that's not necessary. So here's what we can do. We can take this hard-coded list to start, right here. And we can move it into our Cypress spec. And let me just bump the font a little bit and move it to the right. So our employees is the list we grabbed. And we can even give it a type. So we can say import type because we're running tests in the same project as our source code. So type is employee and it comes from source API employees. So we know that this is an employee, right? List of employees. Okay, so far it's the same because we haven't really modified anything. So when the application is making an intercept to get employees, we will return that list. And the important thing here is to make sure that that call actually happens. That's why we gave it an alias. And the first thing we're going to do is wait for that network call to happen. And of course, right now it fails because we haven't modified the source code for the application yet. But this is our test-driven development. We modify the test first, see it fail for the right reason, and then modify the source code. So in this case, we're gonna import the type employee from the API, and we're gonna import the employee API object. And right here, we'll just say, okay, this is just the get method from that object. Let's see if it works. Reload the test, and voila. We're now using the actual stub on the network call through Cypress. We don't have to create any mock or dummy web service just for the purpose of seeing our application work correctly. Now we can improve our test a little bit. We know how many employees we have, so we don't have to hard code 11. So it's going to be employees length. All right. And one other thing, what happens while the data is loading? A very easy way to do this and see what the application is showing while it's loading is to go back to our intercept and say, okay, this is the body of a response, right? And now delay a response by, let's say, 1 second. And now you can clearly see that while the application is loading the employees, the user sees a blank screen, which you might fix or improve later. So this is an example of using end-to-end test while developing the TanStack query and TanStack router application to avoid creating a completely separate test API server, just so you can see some data loaded in the app.